Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Utaparakamam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagama Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So today we'll continue reading from Bhagavad-gīta as it is, from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, founder-ācārya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are reading chapter 2 of Bhagavad-gīta, which is called Contents of the Gita Summarized. And it's about how detached work for the pleasure of Lord can cause one to realize himself as the eternal servant of Krishna. And now we are in the section which is speaking how one, by practicing, basically what is the goal of this chapter, by practicing this naiṣkarmya or detached work, one develops the qualities of sthita-prajña, who is person fixed in divine consciousness. And last time we were speaking something about sense control, about how this person, this sthita-prajña, sits, or how he restricts his senses. So Krishna was answering this question of Arjuna's. And we came to know that ultimately the sense control is possible only by having a higher taste from Krishna consciousness. And in this way, devotees are more sense controlled than, for example, yogis. And also that purpose of yoga practice is ultimately meditation on Vishnu or Krishna. So let's continue with the next shloka. 262. Dhyayato vishayan pumsak sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamat krodha bijayate. Dhyayataha, while contemplating vishayan, sense objects, pumsaha, of a person, sangaha, attachment, teshu, in the sense objects, upajayate, develops sangat, from attachment, sanjayate, develops kamaha, desire, kamat, from desire, krodhaha, anger, abhijayate, becomes manifest. Translation: while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment lust develops, and from lust anger arises. Purport: one who is not Krishna conscious is subjected to material desires while contemplating the objects of the senses. The senses require real engagements, and if they are not engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they will certainly seek engagement in the service of materialism. In the material world, everyone, including Lord Śiva and Lord Brahma, to say nothing of other demigods in the heavenly planets, is subjected to the influence of sense objects, and the only method to get out of this puzzle of material existence is to become Krishna conscious. Lord Śiva was deep in meditation, but when Parvati agitated him for sense pleasure, he agreed to the proposal, and as a result, Kartikeya was born. When Haridas Thakur was a young devotee of the Lord, he was similarly allured by the incarnation of Maya Devi, but Haridasa easily passed the test because of his unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. As illustrated in the above-mentioned verse of Sri Yamunacharya, a sincere devotee of the Lord shuns all material sense enjoyment due to his higher taste for spiritual enjoyment in the association of the Lord. That is the secret of success. One who is not therefore in Krishna consciousness, however powerful he may be in controlling the senses by artificial repression, is sure ultimately to fail, for the slightest thought of sense pleasure will agitate him to gratify his desires. So, here we see what happens when one is Krishna conscious and not Krishna conscious. So when one is not Krishna conscious, because senses need always some engagement, so either they are engaged in transcendental loving service, or they are engaged in service of materialism, which means they want to be somehow satisfied. But when we are contemplating some objects of the senses, let's say some good food or something, then this attachment develops for the object of the senses. And from such detachment, lust comes. And if lust is not satisfied for some reason, then anger is there. So this is the progression. So in order to, we have to understand this chain, and also in order to curb this chain, we have to stop it right at the beginning. Not even if we see that we are contemplating something, we should redirect mind somewhere else if it is not something which will bring us any good result. Because once attachment develops, then it is going just mind wants to gratify all these desires. So we see also the difference, how those who are, I'm not saying that Lord Kṛṣṇa is not devotee, he's like Param Vaishnava, but Haridas Thakur is definitely the pure devotee who was constantly engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord, so he could resist this allurement by incarnation of Maya Devi. In fact, Lord Śiva, because he's a very special person, is not like, is in between them, let's say, in material and spiritual world, because he is kind of connection from the spiritual world to material world. So when where was it? He was allured definitely by Lord's incarnation of what was the name? Mohini Murti, yes, because she is a direct incarnation of the Lord, so he could not resist this also. But Haridas Thakur, he is 100% pure devotee, so I think he could resist also this one, and definitely he resisted the allurement of Maya Devi. So this is basically, again, mentioned what is the ultimate sense control when one is fully focused in Krishna consciousness. 63. Krodhat bhavati sammohak, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bramshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Krodhat, from anger, bhavati, takes place. Sammohaha, perfect illusion. Sammohat, from illusion, smriti, of memory. Vibhramaha, bewilderment. Smriti bramshat, after bewilderment of memory. Buddhinashaha, loss of intelligence. Buddhinashat, and from loss of intelligence, pranashyati, one falls down. Translation: from anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. Purport: Śrīla Rūpa Goswami has given us this direction. Prapanchikataya buddhya harisambandhi vastunaha mukshubhih parityago vairagyam falgu katyate. Bhaktirasamrita Sindhu 1-258. By development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. Their so-called renunciation is called falgu, or less important. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, it does not become a victim of material consciousness. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the Absolute, being impersonal, cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants, called prasadam. Thus everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. The devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas the non-devotee rejects it as material. The impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation, and for this reason a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. It is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotional service. So here this chain continues, and from anger comes delusion, then bewilderment of memory, then intelligence is lost, and then one falls down again to the material consciousness or material pool. So also here is in purport Prabhupada is mentioning some guidance how to avoid this fall down, because as we saw in the previous shloka, it started with some contemplation. So let's say we are trying to somehow artificially to suppress it, but because senses are so strong, so there is good chance that this chain will continue and the person will ultimately fall down. But when he is engaging it, meaning as Prabhupada is mentioning, some nice eatables if he offers to the Lord, and then honors the prasadam, so this doesn't happen that he will fall down to this material pool. Also, he's saying to take prasadam in Krishna consciousness, so we should be aware how to also to prepare it, how to offer it, how to serve it, and also how to eat it in Krishna consciousness. It's not just we eat it as ordinary food. We are honoring prasadam. We are not just eating. And there is also some etiquette how it is served. There is order how we take various preparations, what we start with, and like that. We can also meditate how Lord Kṛṣṇa is eating. We have this some bhajans from Bhaktivedanta Thakur who is speaking with which preparation Krishna is eating, or how Lord Chaitanya, what he liked, what preparation. So this can be our meditation, how Krishna was honoring this bhoga, and now we have his prasadam. So this is how we should basically do this prasadam seva or service of prasadam. And then this is not artificial renunciation, so we are constantly in the Krishna consciousness and we will not fall down in this way. To 64. Ragadvesha vimuktaistu vishayan indriyaischcharan atmavashyar vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. Raga attachment, Vesha, and detachment, Vimuktaihi, by one who has become free from two bad Vishayan, sense objects, Indriyaihi, by the senses, Charan, acting upon, Atma, Vashyaihi, under one's control, Vidhaya Atma, one who follows regulated freedom, Prasadam, the mercy of the Lord, Adhigacchati, attains. Translation, but a person free from all attachment and aversion, and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom, can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. It is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process, but unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is every chance of a fall. Although the person in full Krishna consciousness may apparently be on the sensual plane, because of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachment and detachment. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. And if Krishna does not want, he shall not do that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control, because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is a causeless mercy of the Lord, which the devotee can achieve in spite of his being attached to the sensual platform. So here we see how devotee is dealing with various, he doesn't have attachments or detachments, because whatever he is accepting is because Krishna is accepting, and whatever he is rejecting is because Krishna does not want this thing. So basically, in this way, he is completely sense-controlled and is not on the sensual plane. Yeah, and as I mentioned some time ago, attachment and aversion are just the same thing. It's just positive attachment or negative attachment. So even if we reject something, this is also kind of attachment. We should not have any, how to say, any relation to that thing, or a relation should be through Krishna. This is maybe more precise. So it is not our attachment in any way, in a positive or negative way. And here Prabhupada says that even one is attached to the sensual platform by Lord's causeless mercy, he can achieve this, his consciousness. So Krishna can pull him up from this platform. To 65. Prasade sarva dukhanam anair asyo pajayate prasanna chet sohyashu buddhi paryavatishtate. Prasade, on achievement of the causeless mercy of the Lord, sarva, of all dukkhana, material miseries, hanihi, destruction, asya, his, pajayate, takes place, prasanna chetasaha, of the happy-minded, he certainly, ashu, very soon, buddhi, intelligence, pari, sufficiently, avatishtate, becomes established. Translation from 1. Thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. Inside satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. So, yes, one who is fully immersed in Krishna consciousness, he is not very much bothered by these three material miseries or kleshas, because he is satisfied on different levels. So something is happening around him, but his consciousness, his focus is somewhere else. So basically, yeah, so here from this verse 64, Krishna is already answering the question how this sthita-prajña, this person is walking, or how he is engaging his senses. So instead of, restricting the senses, now he's speaking how he's engaging his senses. So he's engaging as Krishna wants, this 64 was saying, and here it is just mentioned how is the state of the consciousness. Okay, now 266. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nacha ayuktasya bhavana Nacha bhavayata kshantir ashantasya kutak sukham. Nasti, there cannot be buddhi, transcendental intelligence, ayuktasya, of one who is not connected with Krishna consciousness. Nanut, cha, and ayuktasya, of one devoid of Krishna consciousness. Bhavana, fixed mind in happiness. Nanut, cha, and abhavayataha, of one who is not fixed. Shantihi, peace. Ashantasya, of the unpeaceful. Kutaha, where is sukham, happiness. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Purport: unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. So it is confirmed in the 5th chapter, 529, that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the good results of sacrifice and penance, that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, and that he is the real friend of all living entities, then only can one have real peace. Therefore, if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal, and when one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything, then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without the relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and without peace, however much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life. Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. So this section, these following 2 verses, Krishna is speaking what is happening when person is not connected with Krishna. So is not this sthita-prajña, is one who is disconnected. So he says that he cannot have steady mind, transcendental intelligence, and therefore he cannot also have peace because his mind is not steady. We are not peaceful. And yes, this also speaks in 529 in 5th chapter, that peace we can achieve when we understand that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the sacrifice and penance, that he is all proprietor of everything, and also real friend of all living entities. Because we might have these tendencies that we want to be enjoyers, we want to be proprietors, and we want to be also friend of everyone. And that's why we cannot be peaceful, because this is not our position. This is Krishna's position. So we should understand for whom these things are, for whom are the results of sacrifice and penance, who is the proprietor, and also who is the friend of all living entities. So in this way, we should have a very clear goal for the mind, and the mind should be set on a goal which is permanent, which is not changing. Because if the goal is changing, or we have different experience when we are aiming for some goal, then the mind will naturally not be satisfied. It means that we don't understand our position. We don't understand what is proper goal. If we are fixed on the proper goal, which is Krishna consciousness and satisfaction of Krishna, this will bring constant response from Krishna. There won't be any surprises, or material surprises or some negative happenings. So in this way, if mind is fixed on stable goal, which is confirmed from the acharyas or from the scriptures, then it can be peaceful. It must be substance, or some substance behind this goal, which is real, which is not just our imagination. And basically everyone wants that he's, let's say, engaged in something which is constantly giving him the stability. This is our natural hankering. We don't like things which are constantly changing. Once is this way, once is that way. But this is happening in material world when we are relying on material things, because these things are always in change. There is always something breaking or something rotting, or is not any eternality, because we are eternal, so we are expecting also this from our environment, that this thing will be also permanent. And this is only possible when we focus on spiritual reality, not on the material reality, meaning on the relationship with Krishna. 67. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nu vidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayurnavam ivam bhasi. Indriyanam, of the senses, he certainly charatam, while roaming, yat, with which, manaha, the mind, anuvidhiyate, becomes constantly engaged, that asya, his, harati, takes away, pragyam, intelligence, vayuhu, wind, navam, a boat, iva, like, ambhasi, on the water. Translation: as a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. Purport: unless all of the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. As mentioned in the life of Maharaja Ambarisha, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, for that is the correct technique for controlling the mind. Yes, so we were reading previously how Maharaj Ambarish engaged all his senses in some service. He was smelling the flowers offered to the Lord. He was honoring prasadam, which was offered to the Lord. He was engaging in his hands in cleaning the temple, his ears in hearing glories of the Lord, his tongue for tasting or speaking the glories. So in this way, all his senses were, or even his hands for touching the bodies of devotees, so even the sense of touch was engaged. And in this way, if these senses are completely engaged or utilized in these transcendental activities, they cannot be deviated. Sorry. Otherwise, even one of the senses can deviate the mind, because senses are so strong. So we have to be careful that all the senses are engaged and purified. Okay, so that's it for today. If there are any questions or comments or realizations? Okay. Śrīmad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivedanta ki jai.